Hi guys, and today I'll be playing Snow White Ashes. One winter night, you meet a hunter in the woods, a man so warm and gentle, you feel as if you've known him all your life, but appearances can be deceiving. I walk through an ashen wood, alone. Frozen earth crunches, crick, crack, beneath my feet. Fat, blurry snowflakes fly by, aglow with the moon's bright light. I can never truly be lost, not on a night like this, when she shines so round and full, gazing down from the winter sky above. Still, I best look like I am. I meander through ashen trails, between the birches' silver girths, dripped with dark, around the trunks of pines that breach the sky, boughs buried with snow. I walk between the shadows, slip through pools of light and dark, as if I have somewhere to be, but no knowledge of what path might take me to it. All the while I wrap myself in a cape of red wool, pulling its rough, spun fabric and fine needlework tight around my shoulders. My hands I rest inside thick sheepskin gloves. Even with the snow and the mountain air in my face, the thrill of the hunt keeps the bite of the cold at bay. My heart beats with an unfamiliar feeling, a pounding, jittering rhythm. I shiver with excitement. Hope whatever is out there mistakes it for fear. I sink my hands deep into the pockets of my skirts, running my gloved fingers along the edge of the deadly, sharpened point I carry. In a strange way, it feels more totem than weapon. I suppose I seek no ordinary prey. I almost smile, like my carry. How strange to think I too might hide my fangs. And so I wander on, trembling like a newborn lamb. I wonder how the beast might appear. Will it call out to me in a voice nectar sweet, promising shelter? Would it lure me to its mountain lair, whispering honeyed words as it led me to a place where no screams can echo? Would it stalk me patiently, waiting for the moment I collapse, cold, exhausted in the snow? As I wonder, I find myself growing impatient, the cause of my shaking turning from thrill to frost. When would it appear? Would it appear? Am I not the image of the perfect prey? I'm running out of time. No, suspections are a luxury I can't indulge in. Cannot rush this, I need my mind clear. Surely there is some way of drawing its attention to me until it can no longer look away. I feel in my pockets for the small, sharp knife I use to whittle my weapon to its deadly point. What simpler way to entice a beast than with iron freshly drawn? But I need to go so far? Perhaps it is not flesh it was hungry for. Perhaps I simply need to call out to it. Draw your blood or sing? Let's sing. So call to it I did. I close my eyes and take a deep breath. Then I raise my voice to sing. My unfamiliar tongue savors each word of the well-worn tune. The Mist Queen, wrapped in fog, how softly does she go, with a silver veil round her head that shines like fallen snow. I shiver now to look at her, and moonshine lit aglow. But before I could continue to the second verse, a sudden sound echoes in the distance. I turn. No longer do I hear the wind through the trees, the hooting of an owl, or the scurrying of a squirrel. It is as if the world had gone completely still and silent, save for a pair of carefully approaching footsteps. It is seconds longer before I see it, a pinprick of light in the distance, a blur of white like the snow swirling around me. Gradually it comes closer, blinking, flickering, bright. All the while I stay still, so still like my heart has forgotten its beat. Closer it draws, closer still, until finally I make out its base. Framed in white, lock eyes with it. With him. Nope, doesn't look like a monster. I can't move or turn away, I can't even breathe. That eye stares back at me with so open a green. Are you lost? He says, and like a spell broken, I shake out my daze, the wind and the sound of the night roaring in my ears. His voice cuts through it all, clear as a bell. Are you cold? The figure wears the skin of a man. A skin so impossibly fair reminds me of the broken statue of an angel I once saw in a ruined castle, the surface of its marble pallor cold as ice when I brushed it with my fingertips. How flawlessly smooth, how otherworldly, the lonely thing left behind in the place of a broken granite and brittle stone. I wonder if the being before me is as cold to the touch. He dresses from head to toe in white, shrouded in white, from his fine wool coat to his spur-trimmed cape and soft leather gloves. Even his hair, cascades of gentle curls that frame his base, shines silver, a radiant halo lit from the glow of the lantern he carries in his hand. The other he extends to me. Are you lost? He asks again. I won't hurt you. I'll see you to safety, I promise. The sound of his voice makes all the worry in the world melt away. It is so musical, so warm and calming, like liquid honey. It takes all my will not to take his hand and offer all at once. Who are you? I'm not lost. We did come here with intentions. I'm not lost. I'm not lost, I say. Then pray tell, why are you alone here at night? I could ask the same of you, stranger, I declare boldly, though I leave a trace of hesitation in my voice. I tremble as I shiver in the cold. I am an innocent, vulnerable thing, hiding my fears. Though you can smell them, taste them, can't you? I'm simply a traveler passing through. I never thought I'd come across another soul here, but then I heard your song. And what a lovely voice you have, Mademoiselle. His smile is as warm as sunlight, gentle, disarming, kind. Were I naive, I'd take his answer without question. But I am not. Do you not fear the woods, the wolves? I've wandered through places far more dangerous than this. The trees almost seem peaceful, don't they? The branches bend in the wind as the snow swirls softly. You have courage indeed, good traveler. And what of you? Have you a place to shelter? The nearest village is hours away. I trail off with a quiver, a tone of reluctance. I am a trembling lamb, looking for her shepherd. Please come with me. I'm sojourning not far from here. You can share my fire and stay the night in safety. I suppose I can't refuse such a kind offer, I reply, letting relief wash over my words. Show me your true face. Show me your fangs. Then please, good sir, lead the way. With his free hand, he offers me his arm. I hesitate. Such closeness would avail me to my weapon, but just as easily put me at his mercy. How quickly could he strike back? With what strength could he stop me if I had failed? We take his arm? Seems nice. I reach for his outstretched hand. My fingers linger on his gloved ones for only a moment before he links his arm through mine, sweeping his cloak around the both of us in one elegant motion. I cannot help but gasp. Forgive me if I startled you. I thought you'd be warmer this way. I'm fine, I stammer, digging my other arm deep into my pockets, gripping my weapon tight. His wool cloak and warm furs around my shoulders does keep the cold away, but I feel no warmth from him, no blush across his pallid cheeks, not one breath from his lips bogging in the night air. He smells of incense and pine and, faintly, the metallic tings of iron. I wonder if I made a mistake. My heart hammers as I walk beside him, its beat an unfamiliar drumming in my chest. Thankfully, he slows his stride to match mine. I take a deep breath and keep myself steady, staying alert as he leads me onward through the trees. It does not seem he will strike me here. I must be patient. I will wait. May I ask you your name, he says, after we walk some steps from the clearing. I have worn names like there were ribbons in my hair, dozens of names in all colors and shapes. To give one away now would be a frivolous thing. But names, even false ones, create familiarity, bonds. Would it be wiser to keep my heart closed? Well, we can give him any name. Why not? You may. You may, of course. My name is, let's go with Michelle. My name's Michelle. Michelle, he repeats, savoring each syllable. That's lovely. He sounds like he means it. Like there's a heart that still beats beneath his burrowed skin, that flutters at the sight of goodness and beauty, that thrums at the sound of a maiden's name. And yours? I ask. Gabriel, he smiles. Like the old angels, I murmur. If I were naive, I would wonder if he is old enough to remember the angels from the days long before the mist descended. Before any gods and their icons who watched from above fled as the undead and unsated plunged the earth into pestilence and death and rot. I would wonder had he ever plucked an apple from the branches of Ilsium, tasted his sweet flesh. But I know better. Like yours, he says with a smile, raking my thoughts. Were your parents bonds with the old tales as well? I know my parents weren't the best for me. I like to think the name they gave me reflected that wish. I'm sure they must have. I've always thought that names are a gift from those who treasure us. Oh, never mind. I wait, but he does not continue. It's not enough. I need more. Show me what lies beneath your skin. Show me the beast that you are. Now that you asked me something of me, I say, I believe it's only fair I ask you a question in return. Very well, then ask away. About his clothes. About his purpose here. You said you're a traveler, but why here? Why these mountains, this forest? I often come to the mountains to hunt. I love the air here, the pristine wilderness. Of course you would, you wild thing. But sir, your clothes are too fine for a mere huntsman. You look fit to be, well, if not a prince, then a knight of the Queen's Guard at least. The Queen? There is no queen that rules these lands, unless you speak of the Mist Queen. The Mist Queen, a figure shrouded in fog and mystery like her name, whispered around campfires in villages' squares in sober tones, in drunken ones in awe and reverence, but most often in fear. I've seen her knights before, marching in the wilds, their pyres burned on the hillside for days. Do you believe that she's lived since the dawn of time? That she bathes in the blood of virgins to keep her beauty? Not for a moment. I laugh. You speak as if you know her. Would you be afraid if I did? If I was a servant of the Queen? No. Why would I be afraid? I will call you a spinner of tall tales, good sir. I can scarcely believe she's an immortal at all. Who can remember a time before the misspell? Who could say whether the undying still walk this earth? Yet, if you were only a servant, merely a pawn, I would think her unfit to be queen of anything. At all, how poor her sense of virtue is. You believed me to be virtuous. Well, here you are, helping a poor lost damsel in the snow. I laugh. It's only human to help others in need. I shake my head. Some would disagree. Some would seek an advantage over others. That is human nature, my hunter. In any case, there is something gentle about you. I cannot think to place you among her scores of blood-soaked knights. He looks at me for a long time. I wonder if I said too much. You're a strange girl. A strange, bold girl. A girl. I'm very well past 20 summers. But do not think to ask how many, gentle hunter. I shall not. Have a family then? I did, though I was a stranger to them at first. They welcomed me into their home and became just like family to me. I loved them very much. But those days are gone now. He gives me a look of sympathy. I'm so sorry. I'm like you, I once had a wife and son, but plague took them from me. I'm sorry for your loss. I consider what to say next. About his past, about his family. Let's get to know him. If I may ask, how did you meet your wife? I wasn't always a hunter. Once I was a young doctor in a small countryside town. She was my first patient. She injured her leg trying to rescue a lost sheep. I was so embarrassed that she was rather unkind to me while I treated her. She warned me to me eventually, and I grew to love her stubbornness. A pained look flashes beneath his emerald eye. It hurts me more than I expected to hear him speak of her in those words, with that tenderness. Why did I ask? I'm sorry that you lost her, I say weakly. He does not reply for some time. I miss her dearly. I miss everyone from that life, but it was a long time ago now. Even the wind is silent as we walk, the crunching of our footsteps to soundly sound in the night. It's a relief when he turns the conversation away. I've spoken enough of unpleasant matters. Tell me something about you. What do you enjoy? I'm fond of needlework. I like to sing. I enjoy singing. I love songs. When I sing, I never truly feel alone.
Self-voicing enabled. Self-voicing disabled.
Whoops. And you have a talent for it indeed. He looks about to speak, but hesitates. Are you often lonely? I'm quite used to it. Solitude is like an old friend to me now. Sometimes I wonder, is it better to be alone or to spend your life with someone you cannot give your heart to? Who knows? Both of those sound lonely. A wise man would seek a third route, but if you had no other option, what if fate had tied you together like roots intertwined? I'll spend my days in solitude. I will learn to grow beside them. No? Cannot imagine running away in solitude forever. I would think it is just as lonely for the other person. Would you abandon them, leave them to their burdens, not even try to overcome the fate that you shared? Forgive me, I burdened us with heavy topics again. But I thank you for your insights. Of course, gentle hunter. I searched my mind for another question, another distraction, when suddenly a howl long and low cuts through the night. Wolves. Stay calm, he says in a hushed tone, folding his cloak around me as I clutch his arm. I did not realize I gripped him so tightly. As long as I'm here, they won't approach. His voice is soft and melodious, the song of a shepherd coaxing a lamb. This fear I feel isn't mine. It isn't mine. It runs beneath my skin like a rapid coursing river. My mind cannot quell the instincts of a living heart, but I must overcome it. I keep alert for any sudden movement from him, but he makes none. It's all right to be frightened. It's only natural. But you won't come to harm, I promise. The same way a mouse is safe from the strike when an eagle is near. We stay that way, standing still in the shadows of the pines as the howls echo throughout the night, billow on the wind. I keep alert for yellow eyes peering from the darkness, but none appear. Perhaps the wolves too sense him and know better than to strike. Out of instinct, I film myself to start to hum, a habit I never grew from, even when I no longer needed to calm my resting heart. I wish the pounding in my chest would still and turn to stone within his cage. Go on, he says, gentle, coaxing. Sing, let your worries wash away. I take a deep breath, and then I sing. Misty-eyed, her eyes were bright. Her hands were misty too. Her skin was pale and white as milk, dark hair wet with dew. Her gown was not made of silk, but willow branch and yew. By the river's bend, how still she stood, as pale shadows bloomed. How black that night, save silvery light of distant star and moon. By the time I finished the verse, the house had stopped. The only voice on the wind is a whisper of thin branches whistling through the wood. Quickly let go of his hand. Too close. Not yet. Not here. It's not far ahead now. Can you walk the rest of the way? I'm fine. Onward I follow as he leads me through the trees. The cottage comes into view as we turn the bend, almost as if conjured from the mist itself. It is a small, quaint thing, a lonely, strange thing to see, placed there like it was plucked from a fairy store. Its wooden walls are aged but sturdy, its sloping roof coated in fresh snow. It should be home of the living, breathing woodsman, not a creature of the night. Had I never guessed you would hide yourself in a place like this. It's beautiful, I say. It's the only place in the world I feel truly safe. His heavy doors creaks open as he leads me inside. The cottage is small, with short square windows and low walls, but appears well kept, a solitary home. Strings of dead herbs and fruit mint, horsetail apples hang from the ceiling. A table and stool sit at its center, stacked with clay pots and metal bowls. A stone hearth covers one wall, a narrow bin lined with furs sits against the other. A bookshelf, filled with a dozen or so well-worn tomes, stands proudly in a corner, even as it teeters beneath jars of more herbs and flowers. The scent of incense, sweet and heady, fills my nose as he lights the kindling in the hearth. The embers cast his skin glow, his silver curls and pallid features painted softly in warm light. He unfastens his long, snow-white cloak and tosses it onto the stool. Carefully, slowly, I slip my hands free from my sheepskin gloves. I feel his gaze, his green eye watching me as I unravel my shawl from my pale throat. My fingers, still numb from the cold, fumble with the clasps of my cape. May I? He asks, stepping towards me. I nod, shaking. His hands, even gloved, are deft, swift, a surgeon's hands. They free my shoulders of the deep red wool, set the fabric aside on a narrow bed. His gloved hand lingers near my collar. I do not move an inch. I scarcely breathe. Show me your true self. Show me what you are. He brushes my cheek, a whisper of the touch, like he's afraid to hold me, like I'm a statue that could crumble away beneath his fingers. May I? He asks again, barely audible. Yes, I whisper back. He brushes a lock of my dark hair behind my ear, then gently, slowly brings his lips to my skin. They are so soft. His touch is like the snow that lands on my face, carried by the winter wind. Cold but light, feather light, on my cheek, gentle. Far too gentle. I don't want this delicate tenderness from him. I'm not a fragile thing. I fold my hand around his neck, feel the downy softness of his hair as I slip my fingers through its ashen strands. He wraps me in his arms, holds me tightly, kisses my hair, trails his lips down to my neck. I shiver. I tremble against him as his gloved hands run through my tresses, down my spine, feeling for the laces of my bodice. He pushes me gently onto the furs, turns me onto my stomach as he parts my hair. Found you, my queen. I yelp as he pulls my hair sharply back from my head, tears bead in my eyes as his hand presses against my skull. He holds me still as I thrash beneath him, traces with his fingertips that mark on my skin I've forgotten lay at the base of my neck. The crooked crescent moon that I carved into my flesh with a sharp iron knife. Might I humbly ask you, O Lady of Moonlight? He whispers softly into my ear. The fire crackles and roars, casting flickering shadows around us, but I feel nothing but ice run through my veins. There is no hunger in his voice, no warmth, no desire, only white, cold fury. Why exactly did you follow me here, Celine? Oh, what? Who exactly are we? Snow White Ash, if she's still white, she has an apple. And he is... I thought at first he was a wolf. Okay, so now I'm gonna try just to play the game a little bit more colder or meaner towards the hunter, so we shall draw our blood. I draw the short knife from its sheath and roll up my sleeve. Without hesitation, I press the blade against the back of my forearm, watching out the thin line of crimson blossoms against my flesh. The pain that comes is a sensation I'd long forgotten. I almost cry out in surprise. Hastily, I take a long ribbon from my hair and wrap it tightly around the fresh wound. Red against red, it entwines around my arm, like the bark around a birch's trunk, like the skin of an apple peeled away with a knife. A sudden sound echoes from the distance, shaking me from my thoughts. I turn. No longer do I hear the wind through the trees, the hooting of an owl, or the scurrying of a squirrel. It's as if the world has gone completely silent and still, save for a pair of carefully approaching footsteps. It is seconds longer before I see it, a pinprick of light in the distance, a blur of white like the snow swirling around me. Gradually it comes closer, blinking, flickering bright. All the while I stay still, so still like my heart has forgotten its beat. Closer it draws, closer still, until finally I make out its base, framed in the white, lock eyes with it. With him. I'm not lost. I'm not lost, I say. Then pray tell, why are you alone here at night? I could ask the same of you, stranger, I declare boldly, though I leave a trace of hesitation in my voice. I tremble as I shiver in the cold. I will not. I'll just walk just fine. I can walk just fine, I stammer. As you wish, he says, withdrawing his arm. No disappointment colors his tone, ever even or warm, and warm. Gently he beckons me towards the path he approached from. The wind swirls around us as we walk, my footsteps following the imprints of his boots in the fallen snow. His form from behind is radiant, almost aglow with silver moonlight. The strands of his hair shimmer as he walks. His cape, snow white, trails behind him like a shroud. He stops every now and then to check that I still follow. Each time he gives me a nod and a small smile of encouragement. Every stare from that deep green eye makes my heart thud in my chest. I grid my sharpened point tightly within my pockets. The motion is not suspicious. It is cold tonight, so cold I so rarely feel, soaking through the thin wool of my cape and shawl. How warm his cloak and furs look, yet never does the breath from his lips bog the night air. I'm not sure he breathes at all. I pull my wools tighter around my shoulders. It does not seem he will strike me yet. I must stay alert. Ready for whatever or whenever he lures me to. You may not know my name. You may not, and neither will I ask you yours. No, sir, two strangers sharing a fire for a night, then parting ways. I'd rather keep you a story in my heart, a tale I remember far beyond today than something so ordinary as a Gulliam or an Arthur. Neither of those are my name, but who says we must part after this, or that we'll never meet again? If we do meet once more, if fate spins it so, then I would ask you your name. Would you not allow me to guess? Are you secretly a fairy who spins straw into gold, demoiselle? I'm fairly certain if I were not so guarded, I would blush. Thankfully, my cheeks are already numb from the cold. You sly, cunning thing. I'll give you 3 guesses then, to divert us as we walk, but even should you be correct, I'm afraid I have no fairy gold to reward you with. The knowledge alone would be prize enough. He smiles almost mischievously. He thinks for a moment. Is it Michelle? It is not. Am I close? I will not say, but peculiar choice, an angel's name. I thought you looked like one, from a distance. A figure standing in the mist, one that couldn't be real. Only from a distance. Much more so up close. He smiles, emerald eyes twinkling. He pauses to think again. Could it be Rhea? From an angel to a goddess. I know you for what you are now, sir, a wicked flatterer. Am I wicked if I only relay the truth? Oh, stop now. Your 3rd guess? He goes silent again, casting his gaze to the night sky. Is your name Celine? That's a pretty name. No? It is not. I am curious, though. Why was that your final guess? No reason in particular. His eyes still fixed on the distance. I wait, but he does not continue. It's not enough. I need more. Show me what lies beneath your skin. Show me the beast that you are. Ask about his purpose here, ask about his clothes. Let's ask about his clothing. I didn't get that choice before. Your clothes. I've never seen anything like them. Why wear nothing but white in the snow? I often come to the mountains to hunt. My cloak protects against the cold, of course. Suppose it also lets me go unseen. That is smart. Unseen by your victims? They say she does not harm the innocent, but can a Miss Walker be trusted? They are not of our kind, they are undead. The centuries they walked upon this earth, surely it changes them, and their appetites. You believe they are not human, and you would be correct. But you have nothing to fear, demoiselle. Her cluster lies far, far from the mountains. She will not find us here. Sweet lies from her sweeter tongue. In any case, there is something gentle about you. I cannot think to place you among her scores of blood-soaked knights. He looks at me for a long time. I wonder if I've said too much. You're a strange girl. Strange, bold girl. Let's ask about his past. Have you always been a hunter? No. In fact, for much of my life, I hate the thought of harming others, be it man or animal. My tale is truly a dull one, demoiselle. We have nothing but time. I wait for him to continue as we walk. My father was a knight at arms, but he died without land or fortune. I was very young, and so my mother was left to raise me alone in a humble countryside town. I knew from an early age I didn't want to live a martial life like my father, so I apprenticed to a healer, then studied medicine as a young man. Eventually I returned to that town, met and married a shepherdess with the loveliest voice in the world, and spent my days treating coughs and fevers, making poultices and tinins and mending wounds, until the plague, I finish. He is silent for some time. It was a horrible, cruel thing. To call it a sickness would be to call the ocean a mere pool. It did not spare any of its victims. It turned healthy, smiling folk into dying husks within days. I tried to save them. You did all you could. I can imagine how awful it must have been. I lost myself for some time, and after that I found I could not return to the healing arts. I could not mend another bone, touch another skin, without feeling the rot beneath my fingertips. That's terrible. I'm sorry. Even the wind is silent as we walk, the crunching of our footsteps the only sound in the night. It's a relief when he turns the conversation away. I've spoken enough of the pleasant matters. Tell me something about you. What do you enjoy? Let's say I'm fond of needlework. I'm skilled with the needle, if I may say so. Your clothing, did you make these? I did. I embroidered them as well. I feel his gaze run over the moons and flowers stitched into my clothes, and feel a sudden warmth creep through my skin to be the object of his stare. It truly is lovely work. I feel like I could live a dozen lifetimes and never hope to match your skill. I laugh. You don't need lifetimes for it. It only takes patience and a willingness to persist, even if you accidentally stab yourself countless times. What would you do if you had lifetimes, if you could walk the earth without fear of death or aging? I would look for someone to spend it with. I would learn all I could. And gain all the knowledge I could, and share with all, that all people could live in peace, that the countless concerns that mire us throughout time could be ended. A noble but impossible dream that any one person could end all tragedy, solve all obstacles, mediate every conflict. I would find others who shared that dream, and with them build the world I desire. But you, as the holder of that knowledge and desire, will stand alone, a new God, risen above your followers. And how would you rule your subjects? Forgive me, I burden us with heavy topics again. But I thank you for your insights. Of course, gentle hunter. I searched my mind for another question, another distraction, when suddenly a howl long and low cuts through the night. Wolves. Stay calm, he says in a hushed voice, taking hold of my hand. Fear makes me clutch it tightly as he sweeps his long cloak over my shoulders. From one beast to another. I am calm, I should be calm, but the fear that I feel isn't mine. It runs beneath my skin like a rapid coursing river. It twists inside the cage in my chest. It will pulse too slow, but it does not. My mind cannot quell the instincts of a living heart. The howls grow louder, closer. I can feel them ringing in my ears. Your scent is too strong, I hear him murmur. He searches through his coat for something, a small pouch, then pours its contents over the lantern. The flame burns brighter as a thick, earthy scent fills the air. It smells of ash and smoke, iron and dust. This way, he says, leading me by the arm. We come to a large pine, its ancient trunk at least 3 grown men wide. With a firm but not ungentle motion, presses me against its trunk, sweeping his cloak around us. I feel the rough bark on my back, feel the wool of my cape, feel his arms around my shoulders, holding me tight. It takes all my will not to struggle, not to scream. It's all right, he says, melodious, soothing, a shepherd calling to a lamb. This will hide your scent. Listen to my voice. Hold on just a little longer. This close, I could hear his heart beat within his chest. If only he had had one. I could burn beneath his arms, if only they were not so cold, cold to the bone. We stand there for what feels like eternity, for the howls grow silent, and the only voice left on the wind is the whisper of the trees. I break free of him as soon as he lets me go, shaking. Too close, not yet, not here. Forgive me, it's not far ahead now. Can you walk the rest of the way? I'm fine, I said, steadying myself, fighting the quiver in my voice. Onward I follow as he leads me through the trees. The cottage comes into view as we turn the bend, almost as if conjoined from the mist itself. Might I humbly ask you, O Lady of Moonlight, he whispers softly in my ear. Fire crackles and roars, casting flickering shadows around us, but I feel nothing but ice run through my veins. There is no hunger in his voice, no warmth, no desire, only white, cold fury. Why exactly did you follow me here, Celine? Okay, and that is the end of the demo. Just wanted to see the different dialogues that these two have between each other. So at first I thought like the hunter was like a wolf, because when our character Michelle, she first describes herself, she said she was wearing a red cloak, so I was thinking, oh, it must be the Little Red Riding Hood. But I remembered like the title of the game is Snow White Ashes, so she's Snow White, but he is some monster to her because she can't feel a heartbeat and his skin is cold. But what type of monster, I'm not sure of yet. I don't know why she's being hunted though. Like Snow White's supposed to be good. Maybe she's actually the evil queen. I don't know. But that is the end of the demo of Snow White Ashes. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Bye.